Okay, hello guys, this is Art of Joey back here again, and this is the part 2 of the Understanding the Eye tutorial. So right now what I'm doing is I just showed the basic shape of the eyes. It's like a rectangle that has been squished, yeah, and I'm drawing in some pupils right now, yeah, and then just to show some nice highlights, I sort of leave a tiny bit of space on the eye, so that looks like it's like it's wet, because the eye is, it's covered with water. Yeah, so as I shade, I'm just using different color pencils so that y'all could see the difference. Yeah, and then now the eye, the top of the eye, there's the eyelid covers the eyeball, right? The top of the eyelid covers the eyeball, so light doesn't really hit that top part of the eye. So normally that place is dark. That's what I just did right now, shading it dark, and I'm doing on the right eye, shading it in real dark, as dark as possible, just not the whole eye, just the top part of it, and then having it to blend into the rest of the eye. Yeah, it makes it look realistic and makes it look glossy. I think that's the word, glossy. And there are various ways to shade eyes. There's this artist I know on Instagram. It's called Taji Joseph. Taji Joseph, he has a very nice way of shading eyes. He makes the eyes look dreamy. It's really nice, Yeah, and then the eyelid itself, the top part of it is also thick, so that's why I shaded it a little bit. I'm shading it right now. So yeah, and then the top part of the eyes is also dark because the light doesn't really hit the eye. So just shading it in, making it look realistic. It's all about blending, adding layers upon layers, as many layers as possible to make it look realistic. Yeah. So again, shading in the top of the eye, that part is very crucial to make it look realistic. The top part of the eyelid and the eye is darker than the bottom part. Is darker than the bottom part, so that it makes it look realistic, and then you blend the rest in slowly. When you're drawing, take your time and just layer it in. So that's the base. So this is the basic shape of the eye. It's like a rectangle that has been squished, sort of like a parallelogram, weird way, but the inside of the eye is sort of like a parallelogram, but the top part of the eye, the top corner, goes in, yeah, the top part of the eye goes up first before the down part. So now I'm coming to draw a 3/4 view of the eye, like somebody turning his head a little bit to the right and then looking at you through the corner of his eyes. So I'm just sort of sketching that. I got that image from the Andrew Loomis Head and Hands book. It's a free PDF. Y'all could download it. So I put the link in the part 1 of this video. Maybe I'll just put the link in this video too, so in the description, so that y'all can get it. So because it's 3/4, the eye that is farther away from us will be a little bit shorter than the one near to it because of perspective. Might have to cover a whole perspective video. Perspective in relation to the face and its features, probably, yeah. So I'm just drawing the top eyelids. To make it look realistic. Just suggesting, not really deepening the lines, just suggesting, Okay. Yeah, you see how I just shaded the top part of the top eyelid, a little bit darker, so that y'all could realize that it is hiding away from the light, so it's supposed to be darker. Sorry, got a little bit of a cold. I don't. It's just some symptoms. I refuse the cold. Okay. So I'm just suggesting the nose, the bridge of the nose. I think I'll get into the nose in the next video. The nose is a bit difficult for me, so I'm gonna do my best in that video to really explain it well. So then just suggesting the pupils. Just suggesting the pupils for the left one and the right one. Yeah, so you can see that it's looking realistic. So just suggesting the form of the nose. It's more like a rectangle, some kind of rectangular block sitting in front of the face. So we'll get to that, God's grace, in the next video. So I'm just suggesting some more realistic aspects of the eye. Yeah. Yeah, so now I'm actually just deepening the lines of the eyelid, just to show that there's some depth to it. Some depth. And just adjusting the eyebrows now. Eyebrows are just a simple arc. You know, if you look at all these makeup videos, excuse me, all these makeup videos, you see a lot of eyebrows, and because the right eyebrow is farther away from us, in perspective it will look shorter in length than the one nearer to us, because of the 3/4 face. So you can see the realistic feeling it gives when I do that. I'm gonna have to cover all that in upcoming videos. Yeah, so just suggesting, and then shading in the eye, and I will definitely put in the rule of shading the top of the eye a little bit darker than the rest. Most definitely. Yeah, so now I'm putting in the form of the eyebrow into the eyelid, the space between the eyebrow and the eyelid, like that. I'm just suggesting the bumps so that you get the feel of what the eye really is. Okay, so that's another bump, and I skipped the inside of the eye, then the bottom eyelid. So just bumps. Okay, do it again on the right. So for the eyebrow, a bump in between the eyebrow and the eyelid, another bump. Then the eyelid, the top of the eyelid itself is a major bump, and then the bottom part of the eyelid. This gives you a feel that the eye is not flat on the face, that it has some form to it, that it's protruding from the face. Okay, yeah, and then I'm doing the bumps again, like simplifying it. So that one's for the eyelid, top of the eyelid, and then the bottom of the eyelid. And I think I do it on the other side as well. Or yeah, so I just show that. Oh, excuse me. That on the bumps, I can actually reconstruct the eye just having the bumps in mind. Top part of the eyelid is always dark, don't forget that. Yeah, so you can see that I'm just actually drawing the eye from another eye from memory, just knowing where the bumps are, just knowing how the bumps work. Yeah, then I can suggest the eye, suggest the whole eye just by knowing this simple rule. Yeah. Yeah, just keep going. So that's basically about it. Then I'm drawing the 3D-ness of the eyelid. All right, so it's actually a thick thing. It's not a flat. It's not a flat line. It is a 3D form. So I'm making it look like some sort of a, I don't know, like a very thick cardboard that has been, molded, or like a piece of clay, rectangular piece of clay that has just been molded a bit. So I'm showing it again, and I'm using lines to show how it works. See, yeah, it's like a slightly thick piece of flesh, that covers the eye, so there's 3D-ness to it. Now, I talked about wrapping of the eyelids around the ball of the eye. That is the eyeball itself. So it's an eyeball and then flesh just wrapping around it. So that's what I show in this drawing. So I open up the top of the eyelid all the way so it's wrapping around the ball. Remember that. And also I do not forget the thickness of the eyelid. Same thing for the lower eyelid. So do the thickness. Oh, grab my phone, sorry. Got a notification on Facebook. I actually just saw another Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, the trailer. Did I mention how much I like Star Wars? Like, I've been watching Star Wars since Star Wars 1, 2, 3, Revenge of the Sith, and then 4, New Hope. 4, after Revenge of the Sith, everything started crumbling down in regards to the movies, but anyway, I still watch it. I still like Star Wars, the whole Jedi thing. Alright, so I'm showing the thickness of the eyelid. Just to make sure you get it. It's not just a flat thing on the eye. It has some thickness to it. So you need to suggest that. This sort of plays in well, especially when you're drawing like a very big image, so that you can show that in the details, or just have it in mind and suggest it while you're drawing. Maybe you're drawing realistic stuff. So those are the arrows to show that it wraps around the eye, the eyeball wraps around the eyeball, and it's not just flat on the surface. Oh, it's Facebook post. Oh my God. Just put my Wi-Fi off. My data as well. Okay. All right. So we're still going, putting in the pupil. The pupil is just another round thing on the eyeball. So that is a little bit quite easy to do. The difficult part of the pupils is trying to draw eyes that are looking right at the viewer in all directions. That thing is very hard, and trying to avoid a drawing looking like it's cross-eyed. That thing, I've been struggling with it. I think it requires a trained, a skilled eye, not eye of the drawing, I mean eye of the drawer, eye of the artist, to see that the eye is sort of either veering away from being focused on those who are looking at the artwork, and or the drawing, the eyes on the drawing are looking a little bit cross-eyed when they're not supposed to, of course. So I draw an arrow to show that there's a thickness to it. Yeah, top eyelid, bottom eyelid. So the eyelids kind of work like lips, you know, they open and close in that way. So I write darker over there. The top of the eyelid is darker, and then there's the highlight. So just like mostly we just leave it blank, we don't really touch it, or maybe we just shade over and then use a eraser like a Tombow 100 eraser or a pencil eraser to try and just get it highlighted. So now I'm done with all that. So I just took I took a picture of Muhammad, John Dramani Muhammad, and then I just looked at his eye and I started drawing it. So I'm just drawing the basic shape of it. Basic shape. Oh God, thank you for healing me of this cold. It's like a running nose right now. First it was blocked, now it's running. But I refuse all these symptoms in Jesus' name. Yeah. Amen. By his stripes I'm already healed. Alright, so just suggesting the eye, you know, sort of watch. Everybody's eye is different, but the basic formula applies. You know, the rectangle, the squished rectangle, the inside of the eye, the top part goes up first, then the bottom lid of the eye, the outside of it goes down next. I think I'll explain it better in another video, in other videos upcoming. I think I just have to like be redoing videos with the same features over and over. Just the principles, reinforcing the principles, emphasizing on the principles, because those principles are what makes it work. So the pencils I'm using right now are called what are they? Raffine, RAFFINE, Marco. I bought them from Acrylics. If you're in Ghana, I'm gonna do my best to put it up on Jumia or something so that you can get it if you want it. So just yeah, I'll work on that. God's grace. I don't know. Online selling is a little bit of a challenge, you know. But anyway, I think I should have zoomed this part. I should have zoomed in, but I think I realized it was a little bit small too late. Yeah, so I just made the top part of the eyelid dark, and I was just resuggesting the pupil, and then the inside of the eye, you know that part that itches sometimes, and the outside too. Yeah, I just draw that a little lightly. It's not so dark, it's just lightly. That is like the end of the ball of the eye joining into the other muscles of the eye. So now I'm just shading in, like giving it a background tone, like a one tone that I'll build layers on. I think this method is used for painting as well. You just build, like, to get the base, to get the basic idea of what is going on the image. You just sort of put a base tone. Yeah, I'm using the tissue, just not a soft tissue, like a very dry, hard one. Like the ones they sell in the big packs, I think for 2 cedi 50 pesos or so. Yeah, a very hard tissue, dry hard tissue, not scented ones with that are a bit soft. No, not those ones. And certainly not baby wipes. You would mess up your drawing. Very dry tissue. So you see, I'm re-emphasizing the top of the eyelid being dark, the inside part, and then the thickness of the eyelid. Most drawings are not big enough for you to see the whole thickness of the eyelid, but just have it in mind so that when you're drawing, you know exactly what you're doing, and then when you know what you're doing, it shows in your drawings. You know what I mean? Yeah. So going over again. Let me just sit over here. Going over again with the drawing. Yeah, still going over it, just giving it some layers. Yeah, just giving it some more layers. And then the thickness of the eyelid. You know, everybody's eye is sort of different and varied in the way the flesh covers the eye. So I might have to do it. Oh, whoa. I have to do another video and showing different types of eyes. Just a few examples. And more examples along the way. So I'm using the tissue to just blend it. You know, it's all about blending and shading and layering and blending. Taking your time really to get the drawing really nice. You know, this becomes a challenge when you have like a commission that you have to finish within like a day or two. You know, you don't really have much time, and then you can see that you didn't spend much time doing the drawing because it looks messed up in some areas. It looks funny in some areas that you didn't even see while you were drawing. And I do suggest that while you're drawing, especially when you're drawing like realistic portraits like this that take maybe probably about 10 to maybe 15, 20 hours, take your time and then maybe draw like for an hour and then break, come back and look at the drawing for like 5 minutes and then start again for another hour or two if you can draw 2 hours straight. So now I'm just darkening the pupil and leaving out the highlight over there. Very important, making the eye look realistic. Very important. And I'm using a blending stump. Those I also got some at acrylics, so I'll also do my best to put some online for you. Working with I'm still trying to understand Jumia. You know, I tried uploading some pictures. It wasn't working, man. And if you cannot upload the picture, you cannot get your product online for people to buy, so it's kind of weird. I really might have to go over there to the office and then ask them why I can't do that. Let them show me how to do it. Apparently my phone camera is sort of advanced. It has a very sharp camera. I've forgotten the pixels, but it's almost 4K quality, almost 4K quality. It's way above 1080p. The videos alone, a video could take about like could be almost like 1.5 gig. I was so surprised. So I'm shading in, I'm blending in from the dark part, you know, blending in, taking your time to blend in from the dark part of the eye, the top part, into the lower part, and then just having it, you know, blend smoothly. You can actually blend without, you know, using a tissue or anything. You can actually use using different shades of pencil, but that kind of takes time. But if you really, you can do it. It's actually very nice, gives a nice effect. I think I made a little bit of mistake in this video because the circle, you see the circle where I'm shading right now, it's not supposed to be too dark. It's supposed to be actually quite lighter than this, unless the eye itself is very dark, then you sort of shade everything dark. But the outline of the pupil is not supposed to be so dark, unless it's maybe a cartoony sort of thing. But to make it realistic, no, it's kind of weird, rare rather, to see eyes like that. Maybe the eye is sort of like blue with a dark outline or something. Probably, maybe with gray eyes, sort of. But normally with African eyes, no, it doesn't really work that way. So I'm shading in the thickness of the bottom lip, the bottom eyelid. Yeah, the bottom eyelid, and then there's a bag, you know, there's a certain bag around, and that's the one I'm shading right now. A bag, like an eye bag, that's what it's called, eye bag. You know, when you don't sleep for enough hours that your body needs, and you sort of see that this eye bag becomes a little bit darker and bigger and thicker because, you know, you haven't had much sleep. That's what I'm shading in right now. And normally on old people, you really see this eye bag very prominent, very visible. Not really on young people, mostly on old people, old women especially. like people who are above like 60 plus, you really see it very, very visible, very, very pronounced. Going back over the eye, top part of the eye, as I said, that part is very, very crucial. Not You gotta shade it dark as possible, not too dark, but like very, very dark in comparison with the other parts of the eye. Also, let me just say that when drawing, when shading, and giving tone and giving shading and giving some texture and lights and darks, you need to do a lot of comparison along the way. Compare your darkest darks with your lightest lights. Compare your darks with your medium tones. Compare your darks with your light tones. Compare everything, both ways. Sort of cross compare your darks with your mediums and your lights, and make sure that the face looks like it has a one color skin tone. So I'm just shading in the eye bag, making it a little bit prominent. Okay, now I think I realized that the the video wasn't zoomed in well enough. So the camera wasn't zoomed in well enough. So I fixed it. Yeah, this is a lot better. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. And yeah, the eyelid, top of the eyelid, and and its connection into the nose area and the rest of the face. Yeah, this is a fun eye to draw. I think I don't know how much time it took me to draw it. Well, maybe like 10 minutes or so. Probably. I don't know. Should have timed it. So yeah, I'm just shading in the thickness of the eyelid. You can use, when thick stuff is joined to other parts of the face, there's normally some dark lines in between. I might have to find a way to explain that better. Okay, so I'm going over the eye bag again with some few more layers. Yeah. So just shading in. That's what realistic drawing is all about. It takes a lot of time. Patience is required. I remember spending 40 hours on my drawings, and those drawings weren't even so nice, like, yeah, but my sister's drawing, I didn't even record the time because I was just into the drawing. I just was in the drawing till it finished. It took me like about almost a month to draw that picture because I was drawing pieces a day. I could do like 2 hours a day, sometimes 5 hours a day. Okay, not almost a month. I think it took me like 2 weeks. I think 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, I should have checked the time, but I was so in love with the drawing because it was my little sister. So I didn't really, I didn't really take note of the time. So just shading in. Yeah, I was supposed to do a video on the forms of images, and then showing how the light is reflected on the image, from light to medium tone to dark tone. Yeah, I'm using the blending stump right now. It's very good for blending small, sharp areas. Yeah, because the tissue is sort of broad, so it just covers like a whole large area, and sort of, yeah. So this is a Stedler pencil eraser. Okay, it's a eraser put in a pencil form. So instead of it having graphite or lead or charcoal, it has a very hard dry eraser in it, and this is very good for highlights of the skin. Not necessarily the hair, but it depends on what hair you're drawing, but it's good for highlights. Yes. So you need to watch your ref. See, I use the pencil, the eraser to remove some highlights in there. And this is the Tombow Mono Zero eraser. Use that to remove the highlights. It's sort of like a retractable clip eraser that I used to remove highlights. It's very effective. I don't want to overhype it, because you need to know how to use it. You need to know where your highlights are before you can even use this thing properly. So people like Pencil Master and Quabnat and other artists, they use this eraser to get the highlights out. You can use it like in a tapping motion, or you can use it like to actually erase stuff. So when you do that, you get some nice highlights in the drawing. And I come back with the pencil eraser, the Stedler, and sort of try to make it look realistic. And yeah, make the bottom part of the eye a little bit lighter to make it look a little bit dreamy. Yeah, and also on the eye bag to give it some form. Yeah, you see it looking a little bit like it's puffed up, like it's a bit prominent. And I use the blending stump to blend in a little bit more. I think I'm almost done with the drawing. Yeah, my paper was falling down because the the paper sellotape was not sticking well enough. So I used the Tombow again to remove some nice fine highlights, and I can just use my finger to smudge. Yeah, once a while, just a little bit. Put some highlights on the eye and smudge. Yeah. Okay, so thanks for taking time to watch this video, and just let me know anything in the comments below. See ya. God bless.